On this channel, we always end the year with a big synth award show where we crown the best synths and music gear of the year. And to help me, I've invited a bunch of my friends from the synth and music production community to give their take on what was most interesting this year.
Hi, I'm Dave Hilowitz.
Hi everyone, I'm Dave Mack.
Hey, what's up?
Hello, Bobeats.
Hey, I'm Michael from channel Play PM.
Hello everyone, my name is Nadia Strawi.
Hey Bo, hey everyone, I'm Sarah Bell Reed.
Sanjay C here.
Howdy doody, Bob.
Oh, hello there.
Hi Bo, thanks for asking.
Yo, what's happening? This is Corey from Modular.
Hi, I'm Starsky Carr.
Hello, I'm Mylar Melodies.
This here award show is a celebration of our love for music tech and a way to bring the synth and music production community a bit closer together, something that I think is much needed in these difficult times. It's also the 6th year in a row that I'm hosting this award show, and it would not have been possible without the support of all you watching, the support of the amazing guests, and the channel sponsor DistroKid. So more about them later. With all of that being said, let's kick things off with last year's winners. Best Software Synthesizer was Arturia Pigments 3. Best MIDI Sequencer was awarded to the Korg SQ64. Newcomer of the Year was awarded to Dirty Wave for their M8. Best Hardware Update of 2021 went to the Arturia Minifreak. Best Hardware Effects Unit went to Dreadbox for their Darkness, Kinematic and Lethargy pedals. Top 3 EURORACK modules of 2021 went to Mutable Instruments for their Beads module, Empress Effects for their Soya Euroburo, and IntelliGel for their Metropolix. Best Drum Machine went to Erica Synths and Sonic Potions for their LXR02. Best Sampler went to the Roland SP404 Mk2. And Best Synthesizer, both under €1,000 and over €1,000, went to ASM for their Hydrasynth Explorer and the Hydrasynth Deluxe. Let's kick things off with a category that isn't very sexy, but it's super important.
Best Hardware Update.
A good update to a piece of hardware can breathe new life into your gear, and more companies seem to realize the importance of listening to community feedback and giving us the updates we want. The winner of Best Hardware Update 2022 goes to Roland for their update to the SP404. The 2.0 update brought polyphonic sample playback and a step sequencer, and this update not only improves on the SP, but fundamentally changes what it can do, what it can be. So congratulations Roland for winning Best Hardware Update of 2022. Another company that surprised us with an update that I don't think most of us expected was Electron, and here to talk about the improvements made to their Takt lineup, here is my first guest, Slow Haste.
Hey, what's up? I'm Daniel, aka Slow Haste. Today, I'm here to talk about my favorite gear update release this year, which I have a feeling a lot of you might agree with. It's Electron's new song mode, introduced for the Digitact, Digatone, and Syntact. Let's get right into exploring. Song mode has a lot of practical uses, but one that jumps out to me is the fact that you can program an entire song from your patterns with customizable mute groups and play it back start to finish. This is fantastic if you want to focus on playing guitar, a dedicated synth, or dance interpretively during your performance instead of fiddling with knobs and pattern changes. But I think the coolest part of song mode is its ability to act as a remixer of sorts. Here's a pattern that I started messing around with a few months ago. I'm gonna make sure song mode is off and just play back the pattern. So what we can do is access song mode by hitting this ellipsis and following the prompts. Yes to turn it on, and let's go ahead and do that. That was the pattern. Hit the ellipsis again and hit the right button to edit. Here you can see I've set up various rows of the song. It's basically an arrangement of patterns instructing the Digitact to play variations of this one pattern that I just played to you in a sequence. What I've done is adjusted the amount of steps, the tempo, and amount of repeats per row that I want the Digitact to play. And it sounds like this. So as you can see, it's kind of like a remixer. It put a little turnaround right before the beat started. And it was super simple to set up, and is really just scratching the surface of how you can use this feature to really mess around with patterns you've already created. I think the interface is fantastic. It's simple to use, like I mentioned, and it's a ton of fun to get creative with. Bo, thanks for having me. It's good to be here with everyone. I can't wait to hear about all the gear that everyone holds so near and dear this year. Cheers.
But what about synth updates? Have there been any great ones this year? Well, funny you should ask. Here is my next guest and fellow Swede, Mattias.
Hi, I'm Mattias and thank you so much Bo for inviting me to this year's Synth Awards. Now, so my favorite synth update of 2022 definitely goes to the Novation Summit 2.0 update. Okay, so we all know that the Summit was already a very capable synthesizer, but the 2.0 update added some really nice features like a new lo-fi delay, so you can create like vintage styles delay effects. They added the unpredictability or chance to the arpeggiator, which is nice if you want to do like generative arpeggios. We also got some new stereo modes and panning per voice, so you can create like more intricate stereo soundscapes. And finally, there's also a ton of new modulation sources and targets, so you can use like the noise as a modulation source. And there's also a way to add envelopes to the animator buttons, which can be extremely fun for sound design. Okay, thanks for watching today. I'll see you soon.
Best budget-friendly synth of the year.
Last year we didn't have the best budget synth category, but I really felt that it was needed, because when we crown the winner in the best synth under $1,000 category, it's always a synth on the more expensive side, usually $500 USD or more. The winner of Best Budget Synth 2022 is Create Audio East Beast. Now, there was another fairly inexpensive synth that came out this year that got a lot of attention, and my next guest is here to talk about it.
Hi, I'm Dave Hilowitz. So, my favorite piece of gear of 2022 is the Moog Mavis. It's a tiny semi-modular synth, essentially a EURORACK module, that can also be used as a standalone device. It contains only the most basic, most elemental parts of a subtractive synthesizer. Has an oscillator, a voltage-controlled amplifier, a beautiful sounding filter, an envelope generator, and an LFO, which can also be used as a second oscillator. In fact, let's do that right now. As you can see, it has this patch bay on the left-hand side, and you can use that to change the way the internal engine gets routed. I like that it not only has patch points for the stuff within its engine, but it also has some utility functions like a little mixer and mults. Here, now we've got the second oscillator working as a slightly detuned square wave. Obviously, a synth that you have to tune yourself is not going to be for everyone. It also doesn't have MIDI, so it's definitely aimed at the modular synth crowd. Still, I love both the look and the sound of this thing. If you've watched any of my videos from the past 6 months and you've heard the minimal synth music that's in the background, there's a very decent chance you are hearing the Mavis in action. Okay, I think that's it. Thanks for having me, Bo. See you soon.
Best Keyboard Controller of the Year.
Every year there's a ton of new MIDI keyboards and MIDI controllers and sequencers, and here to talk about the best MIDI keyboard of the year is my good friend Sanjay C.
Sanjay C here. The MIDI controller world has evolved. 2022 brought us some of the most exciting new MIDI controllers. Novation launched the first ever keyboard dedicated to FL Studio. Akai brought us a keyboard that packs DAW control and sequencer features for synths. And after what seemed like years in the making, Arturia finally introduced their Minilab 3. And here's why it deserves this year's award. It's elegant. Key feel, inspiring. Synth control for bow? Yes, it's got the MIDI port in the back, and ARP and chord features too. How about DAW control? Yes, Arturia gives us transport controls, finally. And of course, virtual instrument control done the right way. In some ways, the Minilab 3 played catch-up with some features already introduced in other keyboards. But as I said before, it's done it all with modern elegance and simplicity.
Watching it back, I just have to give it to Sanjay, like, such elegance.
Best GROOVEBOX of the Year.
I love GROOVEBOXes, but what makes a GROOVEBOX great? I think for most of us, it's a combination of having multiple tracks with also great hands-on control and playability, but without becoming a full workstation. And winner of Best GROOVEBOX 2022 is a piece of gear that truly embodies this. The winner is the Polyend Play. It's an 8-track GROOVEBOX with one of the most unique workflows that I've ever come across on a GROOVEBOX. It might not be for everyone, but innovation should be celebrated. Can't talk GROOVEBOXes 2022 without mentioning the Syntact. Here is my good friend, a physical and musical giant, Aura.
Oh, hello there. I'm Aura. Thanks, Bo, for having me. My favorite instrument of 2022 is the Electron Syntact. Why? Because it sounds like this. And like this. And like this. I think Electron did a terrific job with this instrument. It has my favorite sound from analog rhythm, plus much more. It's a 12-track synthesizer, and with one cable and overbridge you are able to record everything separately on your computer. Super convenient, and I'm using that a lot. It sounds just great, and it reminds me sometimes of Mono Machine and a machine drum. Plus, it has this new FX track that is a concept that I really like, because you can affect everything else and create sequences with that. Super, super cool. So, every time I turn this machine on, I'm having a lot of fun and come out with new ideas. Thanks, Electron, for that. Thanks, Bo, for having me. Ciao.
Best Newcomer of the Year.
Most gear we talk about in today's video comes from fairly well-known brands. Therefore, we created the category of Best Newcomer of the Year. And here to talk about the winner in this category is my friend Venus Theory.
Howdy doody, Bob. My name is Cameron, better known as Venus Theory, and I think my favorite thing this year was that continued sense of crippling isolation and existential dread. There's nothing quite like sitting in the flickering glimmer of the last bit of hope you've been so desperately clutching onto, only to watch it be snuffed out by the uncaring and unsympathetic grip of the universe as you watch the light fade from its now jaded eyes. Also, there's the Malevolent from PWM, which is pretty cool. The Malevolent is a really gritty, analog, semi-modular synth that's a lot of fun on its own, and it also pairs really well with other modular or semi-modular gear. As much as I love the ultra-powerful workhorse synths, there's always something magical about that character synth that's got a bit of funk in its junk. The Malevolent is great at deep growls, bright leads, massive drones, and noisy, interesting textures. I ended up using it pretty extensively on my latest album, and I've sampled it quite a bit to create a library of hits and effects for my personal pile of noises. I even paired it up with the Create Audio East Beast and West Pest to create an instrument library called Malevolence, which I released for the free Decent Sampler plugin. The Malevolent is a pretty dang formidable debut from PWM, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they release next. I'm also really looking forward to fighting you at Superbooth, because Bo ain't gonna beat this man's. Come at me, Bo. Thanks for having me, Bo. I salute you with the power of the buckaroni, and you better get back to the gym to get them gains.
Now, don't let the professor look and the Swedish accent fool you. These cannons here are ready to go. So big congrats to PWM for winning Newcomer of the Year award. Next up we'll talk about the best drum machine, but first, a quick word from our sponsor. The reason why I use DistroKid is simple. It's an affordable and reliable way of getting all your music to the stores you want, and fast. They offer different subscription tiers depending on your needs. They go as low as $20 a year, and they also have an additional service called DistroVid, which you can use to upload your music videos. And if you want to, you can also use DistroKid to upload covers and have DistroKid handle the licensing for you. So check them out using my link in the description. You support the show and you get a discount.
Best Drum Machine of the Year.
For Best Drum Machine of 2022, there was just one option, really. We had the Razzmatazz from 1010 Music, the Drumlogue, and even the Syntact could be called a drum machine. But there was one drum machine that stole the show.
Hi everyone, I'm Dave Mack, and my nominee for the best drum machine this year is, of course, the Erica Synths Perkons, because it is incredibly hands-on and it sounds amazing.
Best Hardware Effects Unit.
Picking the best hardware effects box of the year is always difficult. I mean, how do you compare something like the super feature-packed H9 pedal with something more niche like the Elta Music Polybox filter? So this year we chose to award originality and uniqueness rather than most versatile. And the winner of best hardware effects in 2022 is Chase Bliss with their Generation Loss Mark II pedal.
The Generation Loss Mark II is a stereo pedal that can do all things tape. You can use it to bring that already vintage sounding synth patch even further back in time. And since it's stereo, you could just apply it to the entire mix to get a fluttery lo-fi vibe. And for the synths that need a little bit extra bass, you could just crank that saturation. So far in my testing, the most fun I've had is applying it to drums to just mess stuff up.
Now, my next guest has been tempting me to buy a Sequential Pro 3 all year, but today he is here in Hardware Effects Land to show you something else entirely.
The legendary Bobeats has invited me to be a part of his Year in Review segment. Unfortunately, all of you here came out before this year, so... Hey, not my channel, not my rules, okay? Take it up with Bob. And after quite a bit of thought, for my selection this year, I have chosen the Poly phrase. Hi. My name is Jameson Nathan Jones, and my favorite hardware effect of this year has to be the Von Gogh polyphrase. It's an incredible delay that harkens back to the early lexicon delays. But also, it has some really unique looping functionality that I've found to be really inspiring while playing live. As well as the ability to insert another effect into the feedback loop of the delay, which is pretty awesome. It's also a great delay for your pipe organ. Oh, so just me then? And of course, all of my fellow synth enthusiasts know that anything with real wooden sides just sounds better. Thank you so much, Bo, for allowing me to be a part of this year. I've been a big fan for a long time, and I love all of the creators that you have on this particular segment. And just maybe next year I'll buy a trendy, brand new synthesizer. Probably not, though.
Top 3 EURORACK Modules of the Year.
The world of EURORACK is sprawling and wild. There is so much going on. Therefore, I've invited 3 people to give their take on the best module of the year. But first, I want to pass the mic to someone that I think is doing great things for the world of modular. Here is Corey with ModBap Modular.
Yo, what's happening? This is Corey from ModBap Modular. What is ModBap? I guess you could call it a genre. I like to call it a movement because of how it's been able to galvanize like-minded folks that want to combine hip-hop music production, whether that's trap, boom bap, with synthesis, EURORACK modular synthesis. The idea behind ModBap and the perspective of a beat maker reaching to grab modular synthesis and modules and things and add EURORACK synthesis into beat making is, you know, it's no different than anything else that we've ever used to make hip-hop. In my mind, we in hip-hop culture have always used things that were not necessarily designed for us to do what we do, and we've always used those things to create the culture from that regard. The turntable was never designed for us to put a platter on and pull it back and forth. It was designed for us to put a platter on, drop the needle, and walk away. Someone asked me at one point, hey, what are the tools that you use to make ModBap? And although I had a few things in mind, because I was obviously making ModBap at the time anyway, I was not making or manufacturing EURORACK modules. So the whole idea there was that, yo, let me make the tools, let me create the tools that we use to create ModBap music and, you know, any other kind of music for that matter. But the idea of the modules that I create is gonna always infuse the perspective of the beat maker or the DJ, right? Because there's just certain tools and a certain approach that most of us have that, you know, aren't always present in some of the other tools and stuff that are out there. Bobeats, thanks for having me, bro. Peace.
Hello, I'm Mylar Melodies, and I nominate the Making Sound Machine Stolper Beats as my module of 2022 because the Stolper Beats is a percussion sequencer with an almost pathological commitment to interesting swing. It has lots of different trigger outs and built-in patterns, and we can turn these little dials and get different patterns to our heart's content. But we can also turn this bottom left dial and access many different flavors of swing, including some extremely drunk and wonky trippy beats. It is very hard to do things like this with individual modules, and of course you can use it to trigger other things, and you can use its clock outputs to apply swung wonderfulness to other sequences in your system. So, I'm dead into it. I think it's really cool. Making Sound Machines, Stolper Beats. My module of 2022. Thanks very much. Moving on.
Hey Bo, hey everyone, I'm Sarah Bell Reed. My favorite EURORACK module from 2022 is the XPO Stereo Prismatic Oscillator from Make Noise. As an experimental performer-composer, one of my favorite things to do is to improvise live with modular synthesizers. I personally love working with chaotic and unpredictable sound worlds because it turns my instrument into something that's more like a duo partner, something that can surprise me and push me in new directions. The XPO is really great for this kind of chaotic interaction because it lends itself so well to self-patching and feedback. You have stereo outputs for pulse width modulation, timbral modulation, and wave folding, mono outputs for a number of different wave shapes, as well as a whole bunch of modulation inputs down here at the bottom. You also have the ability to modulate the left and right sides of the stereo outputs separately from one another, which can lead to some really interesting and complex sounds. The real magic, in my opinion, is when you patch the XPO's outputs back into its own inputs to create feedback loops. This creates super dynamic, noisy, gestural sounds that are really fun to explore. All right, that's it for me. Thanks for tuning in. Back to you, Bo.
Hi, Bo. Thanks for asking. The thing that's really sparkled my noodle this year is the pizza from Bastel. It's like if you've ever looked at a complex oscillator and just gone, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do with this. Pizza is for you. It's like all those adventures in FM that you have in cross modulation, in syncing and phasing and flipping and folding, and it pulls it into a single module that you can't seem to do wrong. So that's the Bastel pizza. That's wave folding, FM, and crazy sounds for people who have no idea what we're supposed to be doing.
My channel is really hardware focused, but hardware is really expensive and it's easy to think that you need a ton of gear to make great music, but that's of course not the case. And here to talk about his favorite free software of 2022 is Michael from Gas Therapy.
Hey, welcome to this tiny episode of Gas Therapy. I'm Michael from channel Play PM. I share my knowledge of musical gear solutions which are cheaper and better, in my opinion. I might be the most cheap synth YouTuber on earth, because usually I only use free plugins to make music. And today I want to share you my favorite free plugin came out in 2022, which is called Delay, which can be used as a delay, reverb, distortion, lo-fi flutter. It's just way too amazing, free for both Mac and PC. By the way, the sound source instrument plugin I'm using is called AA Sample Player, developed by me. It makes my one-shot sample-based workflow a lot easier. And it's also free for both Mac and PC. You can just go grab it. Link in description. And you can also try pairing delay with your hardware gear or any other instrument, which will massively inspire you. I promise. So yeah, that's it for this tiny little bonus co-oping with Bo. I'll see you in my regular Gas Therapy. Bye.
Best synthesizer under €1,000.
The winner of Best Synthesizer under $1,000 was the single most nominated piece of gear this year. It's the follow-up to a super successful synthesizer and it shouldn't be a surprise. It is the Arturia Minifreak. The Minifreak just takes what made the Microfreak great, adds more voices, effects, and a super flexible dual oscillator setup, and it makes the Minifreak a well-deserved winner of Best Synthesizer under €1,000 or dollars in 2022.
Flagship Synthesizer of the Year.
Now we've finally arrived at the last category of this year's award show, the best synthesizer over €1,000 or dollars, the flagship category. And when we're talking about synths over $1,000, there was one synth that just stole the show this year. And I'm of course talking about the OB-X8. Here is my good friend Starsky Carr.
Hi, I'm Starsky Carr, and if you're not familiar with my channel, it's probably best known for comparing different synths and checking out manufacturers' claims. Do they really stack up in real life? And Bo has kindly asked me to get involved in his best of 2022 highlights video, and in particular, my favourite pick of anything over around £1,000, €1,000, $1,000, and that has to be this little bad boy here. It's, well, not so little, it's the Oberheim OB-X8, and it weighs in at an exceptionally heavy 4,700 British pounds, so it's well embedded in the over £1,000 category, and it's not exactly an impulse purchase, but what it is it's three of the most sought after vintage synths all in a single unit. It's not perfect though. In my review, I did look at the GUI and think it is stuck a little bit back in the 80s. They could have modernized it a little bit, but overall the sound is absolutely fantastic, and it will become a little bit of synth history. So a bit of synth history was made in 2022 with this, which is why it's on my list. And at £4,700, I did put my money where my mouth is. I actually bought this one. Wife's not too happy about it. So, you know, here's hoping for a slightly more frugal 2023.
The next piece of gear from 2022 that we're gonna talk about is like the polar opposite to budget-friendly. If we had a category for most controversial of the year, this would likely win. Maybe that's a category we should have. Imagine the drama. This is a polarizing instrument. On the one hand, it's really expensive, but it's also an instrument that a lot of talented musicians and producers swear by. And here to talk about it is my friend Nadia.
Hello everyone, my name is Nadia Struijweg. I'm a music producer from the Netherlands. Thank you so much, Bo, for inviting me for this YouTube series. I'm gonna show you guys what my favorite devices of 2022 and why. So let's go. My favorite synthesizer of 2022 is the OP1 Field of Teenage Engineering. I love how small and compact it is and that I can take it with me when I have to travel for gigs. I can do some field recordings on the go and insert them back into the OP1. By pressing the sequence button, you can activate the sequences and you can choose out of different algorithms. So the tombolo is definitely my favorite. When you press the keys, the notes will appear into the shape. And the sequence will be played randomly. You can also increase the speed of this sequence. By turning this knob, it opens up the shape and basically it deletes all the keys that you pressed in before. What I also really love about the OP1 is this effect. It calls Mother. And Mother gives a different dimension to your sound and it uses sort of different frequencies, and in this way you can layer up sounds pretty well. So thank you for watching, and I wish everyone already great holidays and hope to catch you in 2023.
Now my next and last guest is here to share some thoughts about a much talked about piece of gear. It's a synth workstation sampler. Here is my good friend Accurate Beats.
Yes. Hello Bobeats, or Bobeats as we say here in Sweden. Thanks a lot for including me in this video to talk about my favorite piece of music tech of 2022. My name is Accurate and I run this YouTube channel called Accurate Beats, all about beat making and music technology and all that good stuff. And if you've ever watched any of my videos before, this might not come as a huge surprise to anyone, but my favorite pick for this year is definitely, hands down, gonna be the MPC Key 61. This one. It's kind of big and it's kind of heavy, but it's supposed to be set up in a studio more than held in front of a camera like this. When it all comes down to it, I feel like the MPC Key 61 is just a beast of a device that enables you to do everything that you need to do to be able to create music in one single device. And it also comes with a bunch of plugins inside of it that gives you multi-sample instruments, synthesizers, drum synths, and sample packs. Just the fact that you can work with a sample inside of the MPC Key 61 and chop it up and put the slices not just on the pads, but also on the keys. I'm not going to say that it totally feels like an ASR 10 because that's not really true, but it's cool to get that type of workflow going on a standalone device like this. Sure, when it first launched it came with a lot of bugs and some of them has been sorted out in later firmwares and some of them hasn't, but I kind of think that the MPC Key 61 plays in its own category here because it's still a sampler, it's still an MPC, but it's also in the form factor of a workstation keyboard, which comes in really, really handy more times than you might think. And that's it, my pick for the best music gear of 2022, the MPC Key 61 from Akai. Thanks again, Bo, for having me on this year. Ha det gott, hälsa familjen, ta hand om dig. Tjo!
So that was this year's award show. Should I open this?
I mean, I have a lot of gear here, and this will probably make a little bit of a mess. This is truly a really bad idea. That scared the shit out of me. Okay, here we go. Non-alcoholic, of course. One for you, and one for me. I'm noticing that the glasses aren't very clean. I'm not very good at this, am I? So, Happy New Year, and take care of yourself. See you next year. Yeah, I'm not a champagne person, even if it's non-alcoholic.
Hey, where's my coffee, Bo?